All right, and welcome back. And we are underway here in the women's Freshman Novice 4 final at the 85th annual Jefferson Vail Regatta. Line up there on your screen from right to left, lane 1 through 6, Union, Jacksonville, George Mason, Rhode Island, Georgetown, and Lafayette from right to left on your screen.
That's right, and thank you for listening to our very humble musings here as we talk about rowing behind the scenes and on camera. It is very nice to have you all with us here watching this beautiful shot of the race here. Again, very clean start. Looks like we are through the breakage zone, off with the women's Freshman Novice 4 grand final. Always a very exciting race here. I love to see these Freshman and Novice 4s race. And even now, still just a few hundred meters in at most, we are seeing all boats connected. Looks like our leader could potentially be Lafayette out in lane 6. Again, watch out for that lane 6. Those outside lanes are so easy to sneak up on the rest of the field, especially if you are a coxswain in the bow loader and you are not looking all the way over across the field. It's very easy to kind of get stuck in your own little universe down there. But if you look down for just a moment, it's very easy to miss a school like Lafayette, program like Lafayette, to sneak up behind you and take the lead.
Yeah, so through 4 races here for these Vail finals, every single boat winning the gold medal has come out of lane 3. And as we are approaching 500 meters in here, George Mason in lane 3 here, the favorite heading into this final. They posted the fastest time in qualifying yesterday and then won their semifinal by a margin of around 11 seconds. So Rhode Island and Jacksonville came in first and second in the other semifinal. And they were separated by only around 4 seconds. And you're kind of starting to see that play out here as George Mason, after the first 500, now into the second 500, looking to press their advantage. There you see the Lafayette crew, though. They're not going anywhere just yet. So Lafayette looking strong in second place here as George Mason continues to show why they are the favorite here in this event. And there's a nice shot giving you a nice breakdown of kind of how this is shaping up. George Mason in lane 3 out in front. Let's say Lafayette there in lane 6 in second place. Following Lafayette, let's go lane 2, Jacksonville. After Jacksonville, it looks like we have Georgetown in lane 5. In 5th place at the moment, Rhode Island. And then in 6th place is Union. Nice shot here of our leaders from George Mason. Again, fastest time in qualifying and the fastest time in either semifinal yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. And if you listen very closely here, you can see or hear, the sound of the coxswains and the catches and the finishes. And looks like we have a little crab here, potentially from Georgetown, but they have looked over and maybe taken a 10 to kind of get right back in the race here. So just a little bobble there from that Georgetown 4, but looks like they have recovered and they have not let Rhode Island overtake yet, although that coxswain is clearly looking over and trying to make a move because Rhode Island actually just brought their rate up just a teeny bit to see if they could take advantage of that little bobble in the Georgetown boat here.
Yeah, and look at Jacksonville there in lane 2 rowing a really calm race, and there you see kind of how things are shaking out. George Mason and Jacksonville beginning to separate themselves in first and second place. Out there in lane 6, Lafayette hanging on to bronze medal position. I imagine Georgetown, Rhode Island, Union all going to press them as we have 1,000 meters left to go now here in this women's Freshman Novice 4 grand final.
That's right, and we are getting the action cam here up close and personal with this stroke seat here. Looks like, again, a little bit of a bobble on the lanes here. We're getting some very interesting steering strategies going on here in some of these 4s, but they are recovering. They've been able to recover every time. So let's see, who are we looking at here? Is that Temple? I think Temple up close and personal here.
I believe it was Lafayette.
You are right about that. As I see the L on their unis there, my apologies to Lafayette. As we zoom in just a little bit closer, I got a little bit excited there about the steering, as I do as a coxswain, so I missed that. My apologies to Lafayette.
Great race, though, so far from Lafayette. Looks like they are just now starting to relinquish that third place position to Georgetown. Looks like Georgetown in lane 5, beginning to overtake and move into bronze position. Again, George Mason and Jacksonville really separating themselves for the gold and silver medal, respectively. And the race for bronze right now, with 750 meters left to go, is really where a lot of the action is.
Good. Now, what are you seeing here? Are you seeing the same thing I am, Joe? We're seeing matching sunglasses here on the women of Lafayette. Do you think that gives them any free speed, any advantage here? The matching sunglasses usually, if they're Oakleys, give a little free speed, right?
Yeah, I think the Oakleys for sure. It looks like Bowseat's got the Pit Vipers though, and I have to be honest, I'm not a fan. Not a fan. I know
An Oakley guy yourself?
I know that's controversial among the youth these days, but I find them to be a little bit ostentatious. It might be the word.
That's right. Well, you know what? Sometimes you need to bring a little flair to the boat, I suppose, like the bucket hats and the neon, and give yourself a little something to stand out with. But it does seem to be helping that Lafayette crew just recover and have a very nice row in the rest of their grand final here.
500 meters left to go now for our leaders from George Mason. Nice shot here as they pass by our camera, showing you just kind of how in sync these 4 rowers are. And with 500 meters left, you can see their legs start to press a little bit faster, trying to raise that rate, not with the recovery, but with leg drive here. And you can see Jacksonville firmly in second place.
That's right. And as we said before, what did we say this morning? Keep an eye on Jacksonville. I know you're looking at me like I'm crazy here, but I want to remind you again to just keep an eye on Jacksonville. Again, they were a little bit sneaky last time, and they've gotten those points trophies before. So we just want to keep circling back and just keep an eye on them. Keep Jacksonville in the back of your head there. But George Mason, very formidable performance here in the green. Again, rowing really beautifully here as we get just a little bit of cloud cover, which is maybe nice for these coxswains. They don't have to deal with the glare of the sun in the bow of those boats. So very clear field of view. Again, hardly a ripple on the water. Conditions are absolutely lovely. The temperature is perfect. We really could not ask for better conditions for racing these grand finals today.
Final 150 meters here for our leaders, George Mason. Looks like after dominating second place for much of this race, Jacksonville now needing to kind of hang on as Georgetown makes a really nice push here to try and snag that silver medal. Lafayette also going with them. So here we come to the finish line. It looks like Jacksonville is still in that second place, but Georgetown, who is now firmly moved into third place, making a push for that silver medal, and they cross by through the finish line here. And the gold medal in the women's freshman novice 4 goes to George Mason here at the 85th annual Jefferson Vail Regatta. And there's the finish line. I was wondering when it would come. And
yeah, it's so hard for us to see. We get such great close-up shots here. Sometimes we can't see the forest through the trees, and we can miss the obvious, the finish line.
Silver to Jacksonville, bronze to Georgetown. Looks like Rhode Island will take 4th place. In 5th, Lafayette. And finally, Union finishing 6th. Next up.